Let's make one of my new favorite ganaches of all time, and it is so versatile. It is a sugar cookie ganache, so it's perfect for this time of year. It starts off with a pastry cream style ganache base. So as you see, I have a couple different containers with cream. I've got white chocolate, vanilla, almond, cornstarch, and some cookie mix. I'm talking the kind you buy in a box or a bag at the grocery store. Then into your saucepan goes most of the cream, the sugar, a lot of vanilla, some almond extract, just a little bit. Then in a bowl, we have our second amount of cream, cornstarch, and that sugar cookie mix. It's super important for that sugar cookie flavor that you have that cookie mix. It can be a gluten-free version, that's totally fine. It can be vegan, it can be whatever, but it needs to be sugar cookie mix. Now that saucepan with most of our cream is going on to the heat. Once the sugar dissolves and this comes up to a scald, then we will temper it into the bowl with the cornstarch and cookie mix. So just give that a little whisk while you're waiting. Because I'm making a pretty small batch here today, it's going to go pretty quickly, and a little bit goes a long way with this ganache. It is super flavorful. It is so creamy, and because there is so much butter in here, and then we have a lot of chocolate as well, even if you are making a decent sized batch, you actually don't need that much of all these ingredients, so it goes pretty quickly even if you are doubling or tripling this batch. After you've tempered the hot cream into your cornstarch mixture, then everything goes back into your saucepan. Now you want to whisk this continuously on a really low heat until it completely thickens and just barely starts to boil. Then remove it from the heat immediately. The two things that usually go wrong if you make this recipe and have a poor result, and it is a more technically challenging recipe, it's not a basic ganache recipe, is that this cream mixture gets too hot. So if you have it on too high of a heat and it heats too quickly, or if you have it on even like a medium heat or medium low heat, and after it thickens up, if you continue cooking this and you allow it to get hotter and hotter, this can then ruin the end result later. Another thing that I like to do while I have this on my stove, I like to partially melt my white chocolate, and that is another thing that can lead to problems if you overheat the white chocolate. So either use a double boiler and heat it really gently and slowly, or use your microwave and go only at 30-second increments. No longer than that. You really do not want to overheat the chocolate, which is why I always recommend partially heating it, partially melting it, just to make sure that you aren't accidentally overheating either the cream or the chocolate. So I'm just going to continue whisking here, and then I will continue with the ganache once this has thickened. All right, my cream is really, really thick, and because of that sugar cookie mix in here, there is some flour in here. Even if you're using a gluten-free version, that is going to be really, really thick. So often when I'm making that pastry cream style ganache, I have a really pourable, silky smooth, thickened cream. That's not the case here. It's really, really thick. That is normal, okay? It will still turn out wonderfully. Let that hot, thick cream sit on top of your partially melted chocolate for about a minute before stirring it together with a spoon or whisk. Then set it aside, leave it on your counter for, I would say, 16 to 20 minutes. You want it to be warm but not hot, and also not quite cooled to room temperature, which is why I recommend about 16 to 20 minutes. Then get in there with your immersion blender. I really like to emulsify it once. As you can see, it's already smoothing out. It looks so lovely, a lot better texture than it did a minute ago. And now one by one, I'm going to emulsify in little pieces of my room temperature unsalted butter. Even if you do want to add a bit of salt to this recipe, I usually don't for the sugar cookie recipe, but you can add it in if you want. Still, I really recommend do not use salted butter. Use your butter and then separately add in salt. So after all of this is emulsified, I'm just going to go in here a little piece at a time. Then I'm going to transfer this into a new container. I really prefer to use a sheet pan lined with plastic wrap because it is going to give me a really thin layer and a ton of surface area. The larger the surface area, the faster your ganache is going to cool down, the quicker you are going to be able to turn around and use this ganache. Now, ganache is something we often want to make the same day we are going to use it. This kind of pastry cream ganache, definitely you can make it the day before and it's totally fine. It still has a really nice silky smooth consistency, but still I think in general, if you can make it the same day and pipe it the same day, you have a really lovely, luscious texture. So I'm going to leave this at room temperature for about 4 to 6 hours. Then you can put it in your refrigerator if you need for about 30 minutes before you pipe it. If it's still a little bit on the soft side, then all you need to do is pipe this into your macarons, sandwich them up, and get them into your refrigerator to mature. Now this ganache does have a lot of moisture, so for me, these macarons definitely within 24 hours should be definitely mature and good to enjoy, depending on how baked your macaron shells are, the recipe you are using, all sorts of other variables. How fast these macarons mature for you might be a little bit different, just like with any filling and any macaron in your kitchen. Also, this recipe and the quantities are to my personal taste, but if you like your sugar cookies without almond extract, if you want to add a different vanilla in there, if there are any other flavors that you really like, if you want to use an extract like cake mix or butter or something like that, there are some extracts that could really enhance that cookie or baked item sort of flavor. Absolutely go for it. You can adjust those flavorings to your personal taste depending on what style of sugar cookie you like best. I really hope you give this recipe a try. As I said, it is one of my new favorites, especially this time of year. So I paired this with a really festive sprinkle macaron shell, but you could use this any time of the year and just create a different shell to go along with whatever your theme is, whatever time of the year you want to use this ganache and this recipe. If you give it a try, let me know what you think. I would love to see your results. You can tag me on Instagram at Maddie Brame. I cannot wait to see what you create with this ganache. All right, thanks so much for watching. I will see you next time. Until then, have a wonderful day. Bye.